You're listening to the Ramblin' Matt Ramage podcast. Let's go!
What is up, everybody? I am joined with Matt Schneidman. He's a Packers beat writer. He writes for The Athletic and does a great job with covering the Packers. A lot on Twitter. People on Twitter obviously know him, but my Facebook users, watchers might not as well because I'm not sure that you're on Facebook. But I appreciate you joining me on Christmas Eve.
Hey, man, I live by myself here in Green Bay. Even if I had things to do, I would still make time for you, but I don't have anything to do, so I got as long as you need me for.
All right, that's great. Well, it's not great, but I get that because it seems that way with a lot of guys. They get hired from out of state, so you're like, I don't know, is that the case with you? Like your family doesn't live in Wisconsin?
Yeah, I had never stepped foot in the state of Wisconsin before I moved here last July. My whole family lives in Connecticut, so they were kind enough to come out here last Christmas to visit, check out Lambeau, check out the surrounding area. But this Christmas, obviously, there are some extenuating circumstances in the world, so they're staying home in Connecticut.
All right, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I'm not even doing a lot for Christmas this year like normally I would do. But anyways, one of the reasons that made me want to get you on again. Because first of all, it's always good talking to you. I think you're one of the best follows on Twitter. I think I don't just say it because you're here, maybe a little bit. No, but I think you're great. A lot of times when I'm doing my podcast, when I'm thinking about stuff to talk about, I just look at your Twitter feed because like what you're talking about. But you were talking about. I think it's interesting that the Packers beat writers. And the team seem like close, like maybe that's everywhere, like because you guys see each other all the time. But I think it was Davante Adams. I was making fun of you early in the year because you were wearing some kind of tracksuit.
Yeah.
and then recently you tweeted about Davante Adams threw you a pass, and just tell that story. I'll just ruin it.
No, well, it's interesting you bring that up because I think it's been so tough this year. You know, my whole thing is you don't want to be friends with these guys. You want to be friendly with them. You know, it's important to be respectful, be professional. You know, we're not trying to be buddy with them because they have a job to do. We have a job to do. We both understand that. In a normal year, we're in the locker room for 45 minutes every day. So we get to know these guys outside just the standard interview setting. And am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, if you want, you can.
Yeah, we just shoot the shit with them sometimes. And, you know, whether that's with Aaron Rodgers after his Wednesday presser, Davante after his Wednesday presser. In a normal year, you know, you get to know these guys as just dudes. And that's where you develop those relationships, maybe beyond just the box score, beyond the interview. Nothing too personal, but, you know, beyond, you know, what's on the Packers Twitter. This year it's been different because it's just on Zoom and there's none of that. But, you know, Rodgers and Davante are not only two of the best players in the NFL, let alone on the team, but they're two of the better guys, better interviews, and funnier guys when they choose to be. So a couple weeks ago, I wore a all royal blue tracksuit to practice, and I got it off, I think, Amazon. Just wanted to change it up a little bit because things maybe can get kind of dull here in Green Bay. And Kevin King and Billy Turner were the two to say something about it at practice. And I wore some really tight Nike Air Force Ones, high tops. And then it was a Wednesday, so that's when we get Rodgers and Adams on Zoom. And Rodgers, I asked him a question about the Gold Zone. I was doing a story on Nathaniel Hackett and the Gold Zone. And Rodgers said, before he answered my question, he goes, by the way, that was an interesting outfit by you today. I don't know if he was shitting on it or what, but it was funny. And then Adams, I asked him the same question for my story. And he says, you know, by the way, I like the tracksuit today. I think Hackett would like if you got one in gold. So that was funny. I've ordered one, kind of a light yellow one on December 2nd. It's still in the mail, so I'm still waiting for that. But I did order one. And then 2 days ago, Davante was just going through warm-ups at practice. It was freezing cold. My hands were freezing. He throws about a 20, 25-yard pass over to the sideline toward me. And in the moment, I was like, I can't drop this. Whatever I do, I can't drop it. So I had a body catch, like a punt returner. And I know the Packers have had their punt return issues, so it was also an audition for me to be their punt returner. And so I caught a body catch. Devontae's making fun of me. He's like, no, use your hands, use your hands. And then I never played football. I consider myself a decent athlete growing up. I played soccer. I played varsity soccer. I played basketball and baseball. I can throw a football, but I didn't want to take the risk that I had a bad throw or like a duck. My hands were cold. And it's much more acceptable to have a bad punt than a bad throw. So,
yeah, I know a lot of people were killing you for that. First of all,
rightfully so.
This is my mom real quick commenting. Merry Christmas, Mom. Christmas. I'll call you as soon as I'm done. But
let me just add, rightfully so, I was being shit on. But I punted it back because I think I am a more reliable punter of the football than a thrower. Say what you want about that. But I shanked the punt too. It wasn't great. The ball is way bigger than I thought it was. It was rock hard because it was cold outside. So I went with a safer option, and it still stunk. So I embarrassed myself on all levels and deserve any and all making fun of me that comes my way.
Yeah, see, I've done similar things, but not in front of pro athletes. I had my son's Little League team. I used to help out a little bit here and there. And I remember so many times, like, the coach asked me one time to hit pop-ups for the outfielders. And, I just tossed the ball and hit with the bat. I kept missing. My eyes are screwed up. My hand-eye coordination is not good. I can never do baseball. There's so many times when I just looked like idiot. Even the kid just laughed at me. So, like, I'm not going to say – I don't know what it'd be like to try to throw to because either way, they're going to make fun of you.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, but let's get into the serious side of it because you are the man that knows all the things. A lot of storylines coming out. Aaron Jones, obviously, he got a new agent, and a lot of people are talking about what that means and what that could mean. But you talked to him today, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was on Zoom with us today.
Yeah, so I saw a tweet that you had that there was a quote. So what did he have to say? Yeah,
so he has clearly been trained well from a PR standpoint when it comes to contract questions. He hired Drew Rosenhaus as his new agent. Moved over from Chris Cabot. Chris Cabot was his old agent. Chris Cabot is also Jamaal Williams' agent, also Patrick Mahomes' agent, who just got him the richest contract in NFL history, also Tua Tagovailoa's agent. So a very good agent, Chris Cabot. Switched to Rosenhaus. I don't know the exact reason why, but I think everyone knows the reputation of Drew Rosenhaus as the shark who will go try and get the most money for his client, as any agent would. But Drew Rosenhaus kind of takes that to another level because he's represented, T.O., Gronk, just some really, really famous guys. My first inclination was, this just puts I already thought Aaron Jones was going to be gone, but that just kind of put the nail in the coffin, figuratively speaking. But we asked him today, being like, you change your agent. Is it still your hope to get something done before the season, or do you think you're just going to have to wait till after the season? He goes, I actually need to call my agent about that, but I've already said where my heart is, and I'm just focused on football. So the cliche answer. Jones has said before he hopes his next contract comes from the Packers, but I just don't know after they paid Kenny Clark, after they paid Bakhtiari. Who knows what's going to happen with the salary cap this offseason because of COVID. They're going to need a lot of money to pay Devontae Adams and Jair Alexander after next season. And those two guys are far more important to extend than Aaron Jones. So yeah, my best guess would be Aaron Jones is in a different uniform next season. I just don't know if the Packers can afford paying him top 5 running back money. If they want, and Jamaal Williams might even get starters money from someone. So if I had to make my best guess, I'd say A.J. Dillon is RB1 next year.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the news that he hired Drew Rosenhaus, I was pretty much the same. Where I was just like, all right, he's going, and I don't blame him. Like right. I don't, get your money, like get it all, and yeah, with Jamaal Williams, I would like for them to be able to keep one of them. But I'm so biased. I'm a fan. I'm not the media. I have no like separating. I'm a fan. I love the team. I love the players. Yeah. So like I'm I'm not the guy. I'm so biased. But I just love Jamaal Williams and Aaron Jones too. But Jamaal Williams seems like a realistic guy that the Packers could keep. But it depends how much money people throw at him because he has shown that he can do it. And A.J. Dillon, I think obviously that they drafted him early for a reason. I think that he's going to be good. But I hate talking like contract stuff when Packers are about to possibly lock up a number 1 seed. There's plenty of time for all that. But with Aaron Jones, I think you have to mention it. But like you said, there's a lot of guys in Green Bay that had to get paid. And like even on Madden, I couldn't make this work. So I don't envy them trying to get these guys in. But this week the Packers take on arguably, maybe it's not arguably, the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
And he just embarrasses people. And so how do you think the Packers stack up for this? I saw earlier that Pettin said, he knows that these guys are going to be fired up. And I think they will because all the talk people are saying, and both sides saying that we struggle against the run. Derrick Henry just embarrasses people. So how do you think that they're going into this, and how do you think that they'll look?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be as bad as people think. I see people on Twitter throwing around, he's going to run for 250 or 300. I don't think it's going to be that, but I think he'll comfortably eclipse 100 yards, maybe 150. But this is going to be a shootout, I think. And it's just a matter of can Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Adams and Tunyon counter every punch that Derrick Henry throws or every stiff arm he throws, literally speaking. The Packers' run defense has not been as bad as people think this year. I know they're 21st in yards per carry allowed, 11th in yards per game allowed, and I understand that that's because they've gotten ahead in games, so teams haven't had to run on them as often. Teams have had to pass to try and make up for some of those big deficits. But guys like Kingsley Keke and Kenny Clark, not so much Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster, but I think the Smiths have been better defending the run. I think Chris Barnes and Kamal Martin, when they don't get too excited and try to make plays happen too much, they've been good against the run. Kirksey's not great against the pass. Against the run, I think he's been decent. So I think Derrick Henry's going to get his fair share. You're not going to shut him down completely, but if you can hold him to below 150, I know that still seems like a lot because it is, but if you can hold him to below 150 and counter every blow he gives with a blow of your own, and the Packers can do that with the offense they've had, I don't think they'll be in too bad of shape on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was arguing with people on Facebook about, is that it's like he's going to get his. Like people are like, "Oh, we need to shut him down." Like, you're not going to shut down Derrick Henry. You're not going to shut him down. You need to contain him. I think third down is going to be key, both offense and defense. Staying on the field. The key to the Packers winning all season was to get a lead, because stopping the run was their Achilles heel, whatever you want to call it. But when you have a lead, teams aren't going to run as much. The Titans, I don't think that'll be the thing. They're going to stick with the run. They're going to, unless they're like totally getting blown out, which I don't see happening. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's winnable. I think a lot of people are like, I've heard the same thing. He's going to break records. He's going to get 350 yards rushing and all this. Like, I don't see it happen. I think this team has a little respect. I mean, they have pride. They're gonna do their best. And with a guy like Henry, he's gonna get his. But I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a shootout. I think it'll be close, and I think that they have what it takes.
Yeah, I agree. I also think everyone talks about the run, but Ryan Tannehill might be a top 5 MVP candidate. I mean, he's been playing really well this year, and Corey Davis has had kind of a resurgent season. The Titans didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He was the 4th overall pick, I believe, in the 2017 draft, or the 5th overall pick. And A.J. Brown is a rising star. He's a Pro Bowler this year. So along with Jonnu Smith, their tight end, they've got a really good passing game. So you got to be aware of the play action too, because everyone's talking about the run, but they can just as easily beat you over the top too.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about the Titans. So, like, when I talk about, I try to talk about it too much because I don't know a ton. But, like, because I don't see a lot of Titans games.
Right.
But I obviously, besides Derrick Henry, you see the highlights where he's just, like, embarrassed. And I got to think, because I was talking with Alex Strofe about this. Like, these guys had to be thinking about this. Like, you see in that clip, I forget who who it was, but he just tossed someone. And he's been on every meme. He's a GIF. He's like all these things. I got to be thinking of these guys on defense. Like, I don't want to be on Sports Center getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Right.
So, yeah, I think they'll be fired up. But you mentioned Jair. He was a Pro Bowler. I like his answer because I think I don't know who asked the question, but what do you think about being a Pro Bowler or whatever? And he was like, I expected to be. I just love his confidence.
Yes,
and he's right. Like, obviously he's a Pro Bowler. I think that he brings a lot to this defense.
Yeah, I agree. He's been really good this year, and maybe he doesn't get the same love that guys like Xavier Howard gets. I mean, Xavier Howard's been tremendous for the Dolphins, but Jair doesn't have those high interception numbers, those high PBU numbers this year because quarterbacks don't throw at him. And sometimes that's as much a sign of how good you are as making plays when you do get the ball thrown your way. Like Xavier Howard has 8 interceptions. He's extremely good, but Jair only has one, hasn't had one since week 1, but he is equally as good because he makes the plays and breaks them up when they do come his way. He doesn't get thrown at a lot, but I think it's refreshing to see someone who's not PC when talking to us. And like you said, he was asked, what was your reaction? Were you surprised? And he said, no, I expected it because I've been playing at an elite level this year. I mean, he's a 23-year-old with that kind of confidence. And you see so many guys saying that, and I'm number 1 in the league, but he can back it up. I'm not saying he's the best cornerback in football. You can make an argument he is, and nobody would call you insane, but he backs it up, and that's what I respect about him. Is I've gotten to know him a little bit off the field, and he's a really refreshing personality, good guy, and to see someone who just tells it how it is, you don't get that often anymore.
Yeah, I love this guy because I don't know a lot about college, so I didn't know like when he got drafted. But I remember him getting drafted, and I think it was Lamar Jackson got drafted after him, or it was around. But he was in the backstage, and he was celebrating, and he was like, everyone saw that video, and like right there, you just saw like his personality, and ever since then, his personality, dude, I think he's great, and I think that's a good point. Like, guys don't throw at good corners, especially on third down. Like Richard Sherman back in the day. With the Seahawks days, like he would always complain, nobody will throw to me because when you're that good, they're not trying to test you. Yeah. So so the Packers can clinch the number 1 seed this week if the Rams beat the Seahawks.
Yep.
Correct, and the Packers beat the Titans.
Correct.
Or it doesn't matter what happens there, and if the Packers beat the Bears the following week. So with the Rams and the Seahawks, the Rams lost to the Jets, so I think that they're going to be fired up. I think that benefits the Packers. But how do you see that playing off for people who don't know the Rams and Seahawks? People like me, because I do a pregame and a postgame show. I try to watch the games after, but I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a ton. I don't know as much as most people, especially like you, about the other teams. How do you think that goes?
I mean, I don't know a ton about the Rams or Seahawks either. I think that's a toss-up. I think that intangible aspect of the Rams wanting to come back and bounce back off that loss to the Jets, I think, like you said, helps the Packers because they'll be fired up. Seahawks defense isn't great, but anytime you get the Rams and Seahawks, it's going to be a close game. I think eventually the Packers do lock up the number 1 seed, whether it's this week or next week. But Matt LaFleur said they won't be doing any scoreboard watching. That's false because you're going to want to know what's at stake when you're playing. I mean, sure, they're going to try and win the game regardless, but maybe it's a little bit of an added incentive if they know that a win on Sunday night would lock up home field. Because listen, home field's not home field this season because there are no fans. Fans, Devontae Adams said it, the fans fire him up. If you remember, just the feel in that stadium when Devontae caught that touchdown against the Seahawks last year on the opening drive, it was like a crazy feeling in that stadium because, it's a playoff game and that fires the guys up. As much as they say they play for themselves, they play for their family, they play for the money. That's all true, but it's an environment thing. And, the fans and no fans, you've heard Aaron Rodgers say it a million times, he misses the fans. They fire him up too. But I do think there is a home field advantage for Green Bay specifically because of the temperature. I think Tom Brady wouldn't mind coming up here in the playoffs because he's used to the cold temperatures, but if you get Jared Goff or Russell Wilson, who's never won at Lambeau Field, or Kyler Murray, or who's the other NFC team?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
I'm drawing whoever it is. So Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson. Those are the three guys that potentially could come up here. I mean, Alex Smith. I'm just.
Oh yeah, Washington. Yeah, whoever wins the East, I would think.
Yeah. Well, Washington's not coming in here and getting a win, but the NFC West teams. Oh, Drew Brees. Drew Brees isn't, probably not as comfortable in cold weather, and I think that's an actual advantage that the Packers have. Aaron Rodgers said it. If it's between, I think he said this on the NFL Network postgame show after the Panthers game, if it's between 0 and 15 degrees, not the 33 degrees as it was last Saturday night, that's a real home field advantage for the Packers, especially against some of these teams that are so used to playing in domes or warm weather.
Yeah, the number one seed is huge. And I see a lot of people saying, well, I don't like the Packers. After a bye, they struggle. Like, no, it's the playoffs. It's a totally different game. It's like a free win, basically. Like, you don't have to worry about they get rested, you get healthy. And the Packers are having more fans in now because they're bringing in the first responders. And yeah. I think that'll be beneficial so they have a little bit of a noise because I think it's key, especially for defense. Like, I don't know anything because I never played a sport competitively at all since like 6th grade. But I have to, it seems to me like defenses get so fired up. Zadarius Smith, he does his thing. He's always trying to get the fans into it. So I think that'll be key just to have a few more. I forget the number, but I think the more people in there, the better. They don't have to travel. There's so many things that go into like having home field. And like you said, like the weather, these guys coming in. I think a lot of guys, they're not used to this cold. Like if they're in like Tampa, and obviously Brady's used to the cold, but maybe the other guys on the team where they're thinking about the cold more than the guys who are, living here every day. Right.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it'll be interesting to see how those teams match up. I mean, for all I know, the Bears could sneak in and come here. I know. I don't know, and I should know this. Since there's one more team, do the playoffs still get reseeded after the first round like they normally do? Or is it just like a bracket thing? I don't know. I should probably check that out. Regardless, the Packers could play a number of different teams here in the wild card or in the divisional round if they do get that first round bye. So I'm interested to see who.
I think I just lost something. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't see you, but yeah, I think something's going on with my internet here. But this is kind of frustrating. But okay, here it is. Okay, I'm back. All right, something happened. It just glitched out on me. But yeah, yeah, that threw me off. So who is? We'll wrap this up pretty quick.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see. Like my whole screen just went blank and then it popped back. But who do you see as the in the playoffs as the biggest threat to the Packers coming into Green Bay?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. But
I think not just because of what happened in the regular season in Tampa, but because of what I just said. They have the quarterback who's most used to playing in cold, and the kryptonite, if you want to call it that, for the Packers the last 2 years has been a really stout defensive line. And the Chargers and 49ers were that last year. The Chargers weren't very good last year, but they had Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, and you remember the Packers just fell flat in L.A. I think it was week 9 last year. Then the 49ers curb stomped them twice because they had the best D-line in the league. Sure, you can make a case the Rams because they have a really good D-line, and Aaron Donald against Lucas Patrick is not a matchup you want. But I think it's the Buccaneers because, they have the best run defense in the league. They can get pressure with Sue and Jason Pierre-Paul and, those linebackers, Devin White and Levante David are incredible. So I would say it's the Buccaneers with the Rams a close second.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I think any defensive line that is solid is what the Packers don't want to see.
Yeah.
I think their offense, it's a lot of time and it takes time to develop. I think any quarterback is like it though. You have pressure in your face, your offense isn't going to be as productive.
Right.
But yeah, I was just reading some of these comments. But yeah, so yeah, I don't see a team like last year, the Niners, everyone was talking about last year, like going into the Niners. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. The Niners, it was such a powerhouse, and it was a team that everyone was thinking about. This year, I don't see. I think that a lot of the NFC teams are, they're all competitive. Anyone could win any week, and so I think the Packers have a good shot to go the distance.
Yeah, there is no team this year in the NFC like the 49ers, and like you said, the 49ers. Everyone knew they were a step above everyone else. I mean, yeah, the Packers were in the NFC Championship game, but at least on paper, you knew, okay, Packers and Saints are good, the Vikings are good, but the 49ers are a class above everyone else. This year, there's no team like that this year. You can't say anybody is significantly better than the Packers. I mean, the Packers, the Saints, the Rams, the Seahawks, they're all pretty even right now. And I know Packers have the 1 seed, and that's why it's so important to play at Lambeau throughout the playoffs if they keep winning. But I think they have a better chance this year to reach the Super Bowl just because there isn't a team like the 49ers in their way.
Yeah, I totally agree. They got 7 Pro Bowlers, should have been 8, maybe 9. Robert Tonyan got just robbed. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It gets me mad. But I think the Packers, it's there for them. If they take it or not, that's another thing. But I think the Packers could beat any team in the playoffs. I mean, it could go either way. But I'm rooting for the Packers, and I appreciate you taking the time on Christmas Eve to come talk some football. I know a lot of people didn't watch as normal because Christmas Eve they're doing family stuff. But cool. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Whether you're watching on Facebook, you're watching live on YouTube, wherever, or listening on the podcast. Matt Schneidman, you can find him on Twitter. He's a must follow. He gets all the news as it's breaking. He's one of the best to follow. There's so many to follow. I'm not one of them. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and Merry Christmas, everybody.